How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Great, thank you.
Good. Well, great to have you here. And Eddie and Lou, so they work with Encore Mortgage. I've been working with Encore Mortgage for, I don't know, a few years now. And I know
Before
you guys.
Before we were Encore, you've been working with us.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's right. I've been working with Daniel for a long time. Yeah, before he was Encore. That's true. Thank you for clarifying that. Totally. So, but tell me about yourselves. Normally I interact with Daniel and anything. So you do your thing and I do my thing and Escrow does her thing. And I just sort of oversee things. And as I'm needed, then I'll jump in. But, maybe you could tell us about your process and what you look out for, or perhaps red flags when trying to get a loan for a client, right? Because really, one thing we know in our industry is that you could have a great buyer, a great listing agent, a great selling agent, a great escrow officer, great title company, but the lender ultimately makes or breaks the deal. Now, sometimes unintentionally or sometimes beyond their control. So either we have a loan, and if we do, you're going to close it. And then it comes, the reason I decided to work with your company and Daniel is because, if he says he knows he's going to do it, then he's going to do it, right? So I'm not going to struggle where he's going to get stuck with something and then not be able to see it through, as long as it's a doable loan, of course, right? Within reason. But perhaps you could share from your standpoint, what you see as an obstacle, or from the buyer perspective, or how can the agent be of better support to you, the lender?
Sure. So I want to take it back to actually what you were talking about before, as far as our process and what we do to ensure that the loan, which, is such a pivotal piece of all of this, when we collect a file, when we talk to a borrower, we always like to take a look at the package as a whole and think like an underwriter and really look for something that might, be an issue further down the loan process. And by the time that the loan actually gets to the underwriter, it's been touched by so many people on our team that are reviewing that. And, like I said, thinking like underwriters, that by the time it gets to an underwriter, we're not going to have those issues, whether it be, so it'll go to, for instance, myself or Lou, we'll review it. Then it'll get reviewed by Daniel. Then it'll get reviewed by our loan officer assistant. And then it gets reviewed by our processor before it even gets in the hands of the underwriter. Some things that you really have to keep an eye out for as far as the borrower, some things that might, be an issue right now, or especially work history. Due to COVID, we have a lot more stringent guidelines when it comes to gaps in employment history. Before, if we had, for instance, a pay stub that showed 72 hours worked for that work period, usually it could be explained away. They were sick for a day, it wasn't a big deal. Now, if we aren't showing both of those pay stubs at that 80 hours, the guidelines are telling us that we have to treat that income a little bit differently as a variable income. So that's, a big thing that we're watching out for now. A lot of borrowers also, they might be paid COVID pay, or there might be a mention of COVID on that pay stub. Now, when we're reviewing those pay stubs, we want to make sure, again, that there's no questions that may trigger an issue with the underwriter. So if we do see those things, then we're just going to go ahead and get some clarification so that we can submit a letter of explanation prior to submitting that pay stub, so that, again, there's no questions and we're not backpedaling and trying to make excuses. We're presenting, a scenario that is easily explainable.